loves, it's Emmy. Welcome back to Witchin', Stitchin', and Bitchin'. This one won't be as heavy on the bitchin' as number 4 was. But I'm really excited to do this one because this is probably one of my favorite... I don't want to say like one of my favorite things about paganism and witchcraft. I have like one little curl. It's one of my favorite aspects of paganism and witchcraft, and that is divination. So divination is anything that you would do in order to commune with either yourself and like your subconscious, a higher power, or just like your inner guide, if that makes sense. So a lot about divination is intuition, right? And making sure that you are in tune with your intuition and acknowledging your intuition when it's trying to potentially tell you something. So it is, I'm just going to say what divination is not. Divination is not summoning anything. You are not summoning a demon. You're not summoning any kind of demonic entity. In a lot of cases, a lot of people don't even, initiate contact or anything with their deities. It's really just about like your own inner stuff. That's how it is for me. There are some people who do call upon their deities when they are wanting to do some divination. That's totally fine. That's totally different. But you don't have to, is what I'm saying. So I have it like spread out and it's just a little intense. So today we're going to go over 6 different ways of divination. They are not by any means, take that back. I'm going to show you 6 different tools that you can use to practice divination. These 6 tools are by no means the limit. Some of them you have probably heard of, some of them you probably have not. So I will try to get a list, if I can even find my phone. I'll try to look up, I know at least 2 other ones that some people do a lot. So anyways. No, because I don't think. I'll talk about one, but it's not. I don't think it's divination. I think it's more spell work. So anyways, let's just get right into it. So the first one I want to talk about are runes. Now, runes are, traditionally, they were used in Nordic cultures. So the most popular runes you're going to see are Nordic runes. They are I can never say it, the Elder Futhark. It's, pronunciation's weird. I don't use them per se because I am much more of a tarot card person, and you'll see that collection in a little bit. But I did make a set of runes. So I bought these little wood chips at Michael's or something, and then I hand painted the different runes on there. And I believe there is 19, 21, I can't remember. But so basically how you do them is you have some kind of cup, or you just use your hand, and it's almost kind of like how some people do like dice and stuff, like they just kind of like let them go. That's basically kind of how you do them. You would sit, like I have them in a bag right now because I haven't found a cup yet, but like, let's say this was the cup or bowl or something that you had, your runes in. You would then, ask your inner self, you would ask your deities, you would ask just the spirit world, whoever you want to, or whatever you want to communicate with, whatever you want to get more in tune with. You would just basically, you'll hold them, like I said, I think I've said in every single video, anything you do, you want to put your intention and your energy into it. So the more that you can touch them, the more that you can, just try to touch every single one before you actually are kind of like saying what you want. Then basically you would just like spill them onto the table. And that's why like you would have something where like all of them could get out. You don't have to use I'm pretty sure you don't have to use all of them. You can just use certain ones. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure because I don't use runes. I just, went through a time when I was trying out a bunch of different divination, and runes were one of them. Hand painted myself a little set, but I haven't really used them because I didn't find a connection to them. But I still have them because you never know. So then you would be able to read the runes, and it's all like, I think you have like a board, or you don't need a board, but you basically, I think how it is it's a circular, like, spatial awareness. And if there's some in like the north, or like wherever you're facing, in the north, that means one thing. If they're in the south or the east or the west, that means a different thing. If they're upside down, that's, so it's like there's a lot of different ways to interpret them. And so that's how you use runes. Some people, so like I said, these are the Elder Futhark runes. They are a Nordic rune. There are such things as witches runes. I think there's more too. I think there's like specific, I think you can actually find Wiccan runes. It's basically the same idea though. You have a set of something. I have another set too. I don't know where they are. They're on rocks. People have little like, domino tiles of them. You can buy gorgeous hand carved bone ones. I mean, you can pretty much buy anything on Etsy. so you can buy stunning ones. I do know people that, this was before I had a wood burner, but people that have bought these little wood tiles and then burned in it. The coolest thing about paganism, and one of the coolest things about witchcraft, is a lot of your tools you can make. Like these. These are totally something that I just made one afternoon because I was like, hey, I want some runes, but I also knew that I didn't know how I was gonna, if I decided that my main form of divination was gonna be runes, maybe I would, purchase a beautiful set, made all out of amethyst, or something like that. Like if that was my one thing. It's not. So I use my Joann's wood cuts that I hand painted on here. And that works totally for me. So that's runes. Another form of divination is using I just totally blanked on the name. A pendulum. I was like, what is that? So a pendulum, or I say pendulum because that's how it's spelled, can be anything. So I have something that my mom got me a while ago, and she got it at a holiday market, so it was handmade, and I decided that I wanted to use it as a pendulum. So this is what I use. It's a shell that was hand wrapped and wired with beads, and it's rainbow beads, which I love. So how you use a pendulum, you do need somewhat of a board. The easiest way is that you use a board. And it's, I don't want to say it looks like a Ouija board because, that's another form, but anyways, y'all know about Ouija boards. I don't have to tell you. So it's either a circle or a square. And basically it's just a swing. So, usually horizontal swinging is that a certain way? See, the ones that I don't use often because I'm just like, let me look it up really quick though, because I want to make sure that I give you guys the best, information. Okay. I look up like pendulum board. Oh, that's right. Okay, so horizontal is no. Vertical up and down is yes. So this is like one of the best. It's basically like a free flowing Ouija board. So this one is beautiful. It's made by Zen and Meow in Pennsylvania. It's $9. And it looks like that. I don't know if you guys can maybe see it. Oh, come on. Seriously, bro. Oh, good Lord. There you go. Can you guys see that? So you have the yes, if it goes vertical, and the no, if it goes horizontal. You can also put letters around like this person did, and numbers. So if you had something that you wanted to, ask names or what's the best deity to be working with right now, you could somewhat get some letters and names. Now, here's the reason why I am not a huge fan of pendulums. For the most part, so really what you do is you're supposed to basically like wrap it around your finger and then just let it hang and not do anything. Now, because I'm not asking a question or have anything, it's basically steady. You're supposed to basically like put your arm on a table so you can steady it. Here's the thing, though. I know people, unfortunately, and probably any witch in the community would know people, who, just by a little flick of your hand, you can make it go a certain direction. Now, you could be like, oh no, that's it, but realistically, this is very easy for user error, a pendulum. So that's why I don't particularly use them all the time. I still think they're really cool. You can use anything with a point. So this is it's an actual chunk of amethyst that I found at like a rock show or something. And it has a point on it. You can tell. So in a bind, like, this is the coolest thing about witchcraft, is you can find things in everyday life that you can use. Yes, if I was in the middle of Barnes & Noble and I was going like this and back and forth to find an answer, it may look a little odd. But in my head, if I'm visualizing on a table where my yes or no questions, and I was just kind of going like this with the keychain, that's maybe not going to look as creepy. Or I don't know, I don't know what the word is because I don't care. So finding things like this are awesome because they're like, yeah, it's just a chunk of amethyst. Super cool. Crystals are in right now. This one doesn't have a point, but it's kind of the same thing. It has something that you could actually use as it. When in a bind, whatever you have that you could say, okay, I can do like a non-biased reading or a non-biased whatever, that's going to be fine. So keychains are really great. Scissor fobs are super awesome because most of them have some kind of point. You can buy beautiful, again, hand-etched pendulums that come into a point, but you don't have to. So those are 3 of my pendulums. I think I actually have like an actual pendulum, but I just don't know where it is. So yeah. Okay, next thing. Oh, and if you guys don't know, so I have a gigantic collection of tarot cards. Not gigantic. I have a pretty good collection of tarot cards. Thankfully, I have been able to get rid of some that I just don't use. So I'm going to wait till the very end to go through those because I have a lot of them. And if you don't want to sit and listen about tarot and oracle cards, then you don't have to. So the next thing is something called scrying. And I particularly do water scrying if I am to scry. So something like scrying, mirror work, black mirrors, crystal balls, anything like that, that is going to be more of like what I would consider like a meditative divination. And really what that means is you are staring at something and allowing yourself to go into like a state of meditation, or like not unconsciousness, because obviously you're conscious, but like a state of like deeper thinking, if that makes sense. So it was a handcrafted one. Again, I found it at the holiday market, which is fantastic. It's just a dish that she has glazed. And it's really little, it's thin, but it has a black bottom. So this was just painted black and glazed. And what you would do is basically you would fill it up to the little line with water, and in a dark room with candles, usually they say the candles should be in front of you when you're scrying, or just around you, so that you don't get a ton of the light reflecting on the water. And you just gaze. You gaze at it, and people do it for 15 minutes and just kind of let themselves, like when you just stare at something for like 5 minutes and then you're like, whoa. That's literally what you're doing. But you're doing it with, again, you're going in with an intent, with something that's bugging you, with something that is, a question that you have on your mind. And so hopefully you will get some kind of clarity. Now, again, because you're in kind of a meditative state, sometimes you don't get clear answers with this, and, you just have to keep trying. Sometimes I think people give up on divination because they're like, well, I didn't get a yes or a no. Well, that's because, unfortunately, you're not sure. And again, this is my opinion. When I am doing divination, I do not call on any higher power. I'm calling on my intuition, my deeper thinking, my subconscious. So if I'm not 100% sure about something, then I'm not going to get a clear answer. So if you're going with a question of like, I may get this job, would it be beneficial if I took this job? If you haven't figured out in your head definite pros and cons of each of those things, like if you haven't, again, just like in spell work, if you haven't done your research, your subconscious isn't going to know what to do. If you go into it with pros and cons and you're like, I'm just really on the fence about it, that's where your subconscious is going to help you. That's where tapping into your intuition and your subconscious is going to help you. So that's where something like gazing, scrying, something like that would be helpful. Same with runes and a pendulum too. But if you don't know, then how is your subconscious going to know? You know what I mean? Okay, next thing is, even though I have not done it, and it's because I want to go about this in a very practical approach. This was my grandmother's. She did not use it as what it is, but I got it from her, and it's very sentimental to me, and sometimes I think that it might be like too emotional to use because of where I got it and all that kind of stuff. But it's my crystal ball. So mine has a flat bottom, so thankfully I don't need like a holder or anything. I can just let it sit. One of the things about crystal balls is that once you charge them under a full moon, or, that's usually the easiest, is basically people who really cleanse their crystal balls, like if you were to get one secondhand or even like off of eBay or something, you charge it under a full moon by having your crystal ball and using a magnifier to just basically like magnify the full moon's light onto your crystal ball. The coolest thing about crystal ball, like actual, like if you actually got a crystal, like a quartz crystal ball, is that as you start to do that, you may start to see what they call sweating. And that's basically when you know that like it's charged. So this is my crystal ball. Like I said, it's a flat bottom. It's big. Look, my head. I mean, like, this is my hand. It's a big crystal ball. It is, technically, it is glass, so it's not a crystal ball. But you can see there's a flat bottom, so it sits. I have wrapped it in I just had this left over from, I don't know, random project. It's just like a black velvety fabric. And so I basically put it velvet side up, and then I wrap the ball in it so that when I go to scry or anything, the fabric that I'm seeing is my is the black. And you need it big enough to where like the sides around it, those are also going to be black. So yeah. And then when I'm not using it, I just wrap it up. It's my crystal ball. But I love it. It was something that when my grandma passed, I was just like, I want that. And thankfully, no one else in the family wanted it. So I think they all might have known like how much. Most of them know that I'm pagan, and so I think a lot of them were like, yeah, that would be a really cool thing to add. Especially because, you know, my paganism is very much about, you know, ancestors and all that. Okay. So, let me get it. Hold on. I don't know how I actually tied this last time. Okay, so those are the 4 different ways. So there it is. Those are the 4 different ways that I have tried scrying. I still have 2 more. They're different. I will talk about those in a little bit. So Ouija boards are obviously another one. That's another one where one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of pendulums is user error, right? Because you can, if you really want to, push, I can't remember what the thing's called, to the answer that you would like. And anything that has that kind of, that much user error in it is kind of a no-go for me, because I am a person who, and I'll talk about it when I talk about tarot cards. I like doing readings for myself, but I also know that I'm a very positive person. And so even if I was to get a card that's a relatively negative connotation of a card, I always flip it. So I always try to be like, oh, I could see, this just means blah, 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 blah. So I know that if I had the chance, and if I really wanted, like, if it was about, you know, a decision that I was making, I would want the most bias of material to use, if that makes sense. People also do wax readings. So in that aspect, basically, you get a bowl of water, and some people do paint it black so they can really see it when they do the wax reading. But then you basically, most people I think use it. So some people, as they're thinking about their questions, they have like a burning taper candle and they hold it horizontally over the bowl of water with the wax dripping into the water. And they'll, you know, repeat their question like once or twice or whatever, and then read how the wax cooled and if like they can see anything. Most people do it on a solid, like a plate or something. And what they do then is as they're kind of talking and saying their questions and, you know, asking for guidance, you let the candle burn and then you tip it over. I have yet to do those. I do have a book on candle magic because I do love the idea of the representations that you can get with candle magic. But I have not done wax readings. What else is there? I'm trying to think. People use a lot of different things. I'm going to be super honest with you guys. Some people use a mix of, and I think it's more of like a Voodoo tradition where you mix in runes, shells, chicken feet, dried chicken feet. I can't remember. And each one of those has a very specific meaning. So like the chicken foot means one thing. This shell means one thing. That rune means one thing. And then that's where like you only use 5 or 6 of them. And then you have a board or again, some kind of visual that then once you release them, then you can look at, okay, that aspect in my life is here. So that means blah, blah, blah. Kind of like I always, whenever I talk about to runes about people, I always remind them of like, I can't remember which one it's on, but in Pirates of the Caribbean, when Calypso does like the reading of on the board and she has like a chicken foot and like a couple crystals I think and some shells and stuff, like that's basically what it is. And I think it's more of like a Voodoo tradition because they were using what they had, right? Let's see. I can't really remember what else. I think the most traditional, obviously the ones that people know mostly about are tarot and oracle cards. And if I think of any as I'm talking, I'll definitely let you guys know. So now I'm going to get into tarot and oracle cards because that's my main experience, I guess, with divination. So I'm going to put this stuff away. Well, put it behind me, not away. Okay, so, and any of those things that I just talked about, there is information online about them. So don't ever feel like what I say is like, oh, that's it. There's a ton of information out there online. So please, please, please don't, go look, go read about things. Oh, tea leaf reading. I just read that when I was always time for tea. And I can't remember there's an actual name for tea leaf reading. And that is something that I would really love to get into. But right now I just don't have the time to like add something else to. But because I drink loose leaf tea, it's something that like, I love. So that's another one. That's another one that people actually are like doing a lot more of. Okay. So tarot and oracle cards. So I don't even know where to start. I'll go with like information first. So there are lots of books about tarot and oracle cards. The cool thing about oracle cards is oracle cards are more of a guidance. So for instance, I'll do like hopefully this is a tarot deck. Sure. Okay. So oracle cards are usually a little bit bigger. Okay. And they have a specific thing. So this tarot deck is Josephine Wall. It's all her art. And it's called Nature's Whispers. And it's oracle cards. And so it has a main theme, right? So this one is the big picture. So if I was doing an oracle spread, and there are like if you look on Pinterest, so if y'all are on Pinterest, I have a board. It's called Witchy Goodness. It's under Emmy Irwin. I think maybe it's Emmy Greatwood. I don't know. It's my maiden name, but I'll try to link it below if I can. Feel free to follow it because anytime I find like a cool tarot spread or any like correspondences or whatever, I always post it in there. And that's always like, if anybody asks like, hey, where can I go to like start finding stuff about witchcraft? I'm always like YouTube and Pinterest. And Pinterest is so saturated now. Like, I know that there's like a ton of stuff, but thankfully there's a ton of stuff because there's a ton of stuff in witchcraft anyways. So doing different spreads, you're going to put cards in different places, right? This is the bad place to start. Okay. Rewind. I'm just going to talk about oracle decks. So, card reading in general. You would use a tarot or an oracle deck if you wanted answers for a specific question. Some people do like card readings of the day. That's totally great. And really what they're doing is like how's my day going to be? The coolest thing about tarot and oracle is that what you're doing when you are getting in tune and doing a reading is you're just prefacing your day with a reading. So, for instance, if I did a reading, just like a little I drew 3 cards and put them in order of like, I drew like card 1, 2, and 3. And I flipped them over, found out their meanings, and like, figured out how they correspond together. And I figured out that like, you know what, today might just be, you just might be kind of irritable today. So like, don't make any big decisions. Don't blah, blah, blah. That is not going to drastically change the way I live my life. But it will maybe just make me be a little bit more conscientious of how I'm coming across to others. Maybe if there is like a big decision that I have to make in my life, maybe I'll say, I'll wait till tomorrow. Something like that, so it just gives you a little bit more context I'm trying to get this fly away. It just gives you a little bit more context into decisions that you could make in your life during that day, if that makes sense. So most oracle decks are, how many cards are in this one? So this one has 50 cards. A traditional tarot deck has 78 cards. They all, like, this is the coolest thing about tarot and oracle decks, or just cards in general. There is such a variety. There are even cards that are technically oracle cards that are specific for the Christian faith. So they are usually called oracle cards or prophet cards, angel cards or prophet cards. And literally what they are it's a deck of all the different angels or all the different prophets or, whatever. And you use them in the same way you do an oracle deck or a tarot deck, just to get a little bit more context of to how to be your day. That's it. Tarot, though, there's no Christians in tarot. There's no Christianity in tarot. I'll say that. I have yet to come across a Christian-themed tarot deck that was not, like, handmade by someone, if that makes sense. Like, I haven't come across a mass-produced Christian-themed tarot deck. What I come across very often are angel cards, which are just oracle decks that have Christian themes, like prayer cards, basically, is what they are. So we'll stick with oracle decks for a little bit. So when you get an oracle deck, this is one of mine. I have another Druid Animal oracle deck, because I have a tarot deck that is by this illustrator that I love. Okay. Yeah, we'll save that. And then I have 2 other ones, but I'm going to save them because as I transition into tarot decks, I want to talk about these. I bought these for specific reasons. Sorry. So if you are just getting into divination, if you're just getting into witchcraft, I would go buy yourself an oracle deck. And mainly, and not to say that like tarot's harder. Tarot's just a little bit more involved than oracle decks, but what you're doing is literally exactly the same. What you're doing is you're learning how to tap into your intuition. You're learning how to tap into your subconscious and communicate and connect with that subconscious. So oracle cards are great because the meaning is right on the card, and that's what it is. So for instance, so starting off, when you get an oracle deck, you usually get some kind of booklet to help you go along with the deck. Usually it'll have a picture of the card. Usually they're black and white for the most part. Oh, that's what I need to get. Shoot, okay. So they have a picture of the card, and then they have a description that if you want more information, you can use your little handy dandy book. Everything fits into the box. So the whole deck of cards and the book fit into the box. That's why, for the most part, I try to buy the nicer box. There are some boxes that are thinner, more like a playing deck of cards, and they'll come with what people call an LWB, which is a little white book that is the same as this book, but it's teeny tiny, and it's not anywhere near like the amount of information that a beginner would need. So if you're a beginner and you're looking into tarot or oracle cards, look at something that's thick that even says on the back, guidebook. Because so like for instance like this, that's going to come with a little white book. And yeah. So if it doesn't say anything about a guidebook, it's going to have a little white book in it. Maybe. Some of them might not even not have that in it. So make sure it has something that says like, you know, set includes 50 cards and guidebook. And then you're going to get a bigger book. This one, does it say? Yeah, so that one also says 48-page booklet. That's perfect. And so that's this one. Stunning, right? This is one of my favorites. Dog. Goose. And then this one has, just like it should, a guidebook that has each card and information about it. Okay, so oh yeah, so if they have like, so this was a very specific, I honestly really just bought this one because I had basically like this sister tarot deck that I wanted to have because I really love this artwork. As you guys will see, I went through, well, I still do. I am a collector of tarot cards, of tarot decks, really. I love the artwork on them. It's, to me, spending $20 or $30 on a tarot deck is like buying a print of someone. I have someone's artwork, you know, in a card, in a deck. And some people only have one deck and it's the one deck they use. I have a lot of different decks because depending on what I'm asking that deck, or what I'm asking myself, really, I might use a different deck. So I have some that are more like holiday themed, some that are more like seasonal, some that are just really fun, and I really like, if I'm just kind of in like a fun mood, that's what I want to go towards. Does that make sense? So most oracle decks have themes throughout the cards. So like this one is Love Matters. I'm reading these backwards. So acceptance of love. Also, just like this artwork, hello, stunning. Acceptance of love. Be in service. So again, like I said, these are be your best self always. these are going to be cards that have a very specific meaning. So when you draw these cards, so usually you draw them face down, and it's like boop, boop, boop. And then you like flip them over, and you're like, oh, be in service / be your best self always / new experiences and possibilities. Maybe those are the 3 cards I drew. Maybe that means that I'm going to have a really exciting volunteer opportunity that really allows me to do something I'm passionate about. That's literally, if I was drawing these 3 cards and I was like, what does the next 3 months have in store for me? That's what I would get out of it. That's literally how easy it is. So, and that's why oracle cards are wonderful for a beginner, because that's really what you're doing. That's all you're doing. You're looking at the cards and seeing the correlation that they have and how they can play off of each other. Now, sometimes you get a really random one and you're like, so these 2 really correlate with each other, but this one's a little off. So maybe you have 2 themes that you're going to look into. Usually though, you can make a connection between all of them. And like I said, this is your intuition. So if you're if you're a super beginner and you're like, well, all I got was pause and make a decision and inner truths, maybe all that means is I might have a big decision coming up from the big decision card. And maybe I just need to do a little bit more soul searching before I answer that big decision, which would encompass the pause and the finding your inner truths. Ta-da! You just read an oracle spread. That's literally how easy it is. And it's meant to be that easy, because it's meant to be something that you are looking at information that's going to help you make your decision. Versus a tarot deck, you are the storyteller. So you're taking all of those cards and you're weaving your own web, if that makes sense. This is like a prefab web, still fantastic and lovely and wonderful, and a quick and easy way to do whatever, because everything's right there for you. Tarot, you have to weave that web. Weave that web. Okay, so any other questions about oracle cards, please feel free to either private message me or leave them in the comments below, and I'd love to answer them. So as we transition into tarot cards, I'm going to show you another way that you can use cards in your practice. So I fell in love with the artwork of Joe DeMarco. Stacy DeMarco is the writer of the tarot. Usually they'll have like a, so Angela, just to let you guys know. So Angela Hartfield, she's the one that created all of the words, right? So like trust in yourself, pause, blah, blah, blah. Josephine Wall, most stitchers know, that's the artist. So you're going to be looking for 2 different names. And sometimes they're just one, and that's cool. That means it was created by one person. So Jimmy Manton is an artist that I fell in love with. I loved his works. I loved his like hyper realism. And Stacy DeMarco, I liked a lot of the oracle phrases that she used. So when I found out that she had created 2 oracle decks that are, I had to get them both. And they are Goddesses and Sirens and Gods and Titans. Isn't that artwork stunning? So I got these not to use oracle cards because I'm not a big user of oracle cards. I use tarot cards. But I got them because, like I said before, and each comes with a fantastic book. Like I said before, I love using representations of my deities. And sometimes I don't have the time to make a picture, of my god or goddess. So, what is this oracle deck all about? Goddesses and Sirens. So, Bridget, who is a goddess of hearth and wisdom and that kind of stuff. She's in here. Boudica. Okay. Boudica? That's how I say her name because I think she's fantastic. She was a Celtic warrior queen, basically. So talk about like fierceness. Yes, please. And because of oracle cards, they all say the bottom. So unity. Whoops. What was Bridget? Bridget was healing. And like, come on, these illustrations. Oya, I think is this one. This is power. And they are from all over, all different cultures. Oh, like that. Nuit is expansiveness. Like, look at that artwork, you guys. The muses, right? Inspiration. Yes, please. But I will show you why I bought I first found out about this deck. That's another one that I love a lot. Aphrodite represents self-love. I just love that. Ooh, that's another one. And I loved it. They were all different cultures. Oh, like that one. Buffalo White Woman. Oh, peace. Stunning. Like, this artist is stunning. So, I first found out about this card, or this deck, because of this card, and I literally fell in love with it and was like, I have to have this. I have to have this deck. Of course, it's going to be like the last one. You guys, look at that Gaia card. Is that not just like fan-freaking-tastic? I love it. Huh. And again, creation. Like, that's, so along with having really great empowering words, the art is just something that I absolutely loved. So that's the Goddesses and Sirens deck. It's an oracle deck. The back looks like this. I love the backs of decks too. And again, you have a whole booklet that talks about each culture. There's like a couple different, I think there's at least 2-3 pages of each one of them. So that's awesome. And usually they'll have like a little, so like for the muses, right? If you pulled that card, it has a little tidbit about it. So, it's like, allow yourself to be inspired. Find or be your own muse. If you're feeling uninspired, do something you do not normally do. It's time to indulge yourself in music, song, dance, and poetry. So, like, if you didn't want to go read the other 2 pages on the muses, you would at least get what you needed to. Yeah. So, as a brother to that, because I believe in the feminine and the masculine in the world. I think you have to have both. Sorry. That's the back. So this is the Gods and Titans deck. So the cover one, Eros, love. Thoth, wisdom. Green Man, abundance. Jojin, what you doing, baby? Ganesh, obstacles. Love that one too. Nuda? I don't know. Perfection. There's another one. Ooh, I know you ladies like this one. Thor. Hello! Oh, but then, hold on, sorry, my computer's went to sleep. There we go. But then, like look at Zeus. Like, I freaking love that. Number one, I think he looks like Jason Momoa. But this deck was literally like, I think all of his stuff was like way before Jason Momoa was like a thing. So, anyways, we should know, right? We just should have known. But like, that Zeus card is fantastic. Like, that's Zeus. And then, ooh, I love this one too. Hades. Oh, love that. There's another one that I really liked. Sorry. Ooh, Maui. Love that. Like, that representation is just, oh my gosh, amazing. Poseidon's a good one. Luga, I think. Skill. Oh yeah, there you go. Odin. Like, that's Odin. Faux show. Faux show. Thought there was another one. Shiva. Maybe not. Okay. But anyways, so again, I plan on using these to have some representations of the patron god or goddess that I am looking for guidance. I'll have a representation of them. That's just super easy. I may also use them actually as oracle decks. I don't know. But these two I highly recommend. And I highly recommend if you are looking for something that will kind of like double dip. So this is a great way. And I bought these when I was just kind of starting to look into different deities and my oracle and tarot deck now obsession. But I was like, okay, this is a great way to learn about all the gods and the goddesses and also have a great representation of them and also get into kind of, using oracle cards. So, great. Jimmy Manton is great, and Stacey DeMarco does really great, I don't want to say captions, but that's kind of what they are, in a sense. Okay, we're already in an hour, and I haven't even gone into my tarot deck collection. But that's okay. Alright, so, before I get into my tarot deck collection, I want to talk a little bit just about, like, tarot in general. So, tarot was originally created, if you have a RWS or RW deck, it's the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Now, Rider-Waite is the traditional, I think he was like the creator, the idea man behind tarot. Pamela Smith was the artist that did like the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So some people just call it Rider-Waite. That's totally fine. I call it a Rider-Waite-Smith just because I feel like, she's the illustrator and the illustrations are what are like iconic with that deck. So I always like to include her in there because I'm like, hey, her illustrations are what are iconic. Okay, so I have 3 different books that I use to help me learn about tarot. Tarot is a iceberg of information. So there are so many different interpretations of tarot cards. Each different author that you're going to read, they'll be relatively similar, but they're going to have a little bit that's different. And that's why this is one of those things that, like, with witchcraft in general, tarot is going to be another whole learning curve. I still have not even broken the surface of the information that tarot has. But I do have 3 different kinds of books that are really helpful. So the first one is one of these kind of books. This one's called Around the Tarot in 78 Days. There are 78 cards in a tarot deck. This one basically goes day by day. And they separate the cards in a different way. So you're not just doing like, the first card or the second card or whatever. You are doing, sorry, it doesn't really get into it. You're doing them by groups. So like day 1, they just talk about the Page of Pentacles. And so it goes into in-depth account of the card. There's, 3 or 4 pages. There's stuff in this book that's like the lesson that the Page of Pentacles is trying to teach you. Then there's the card, how it reflects to your life in the reading. And then it goes over like career-wise and financially, health wise, relationships, travel and lifestyle, education, spiritual awareness and self-development. And then it goes like how to connect with that card. So like if you're doing like a 1 card pull and you got that card, that this would be something, how you could connect to it. It also says like the page of like what the card would say if it was like, human. And then keywords that you can think of that are like, so for instance, like the Page of Pentacles, it's like speculation, starting work, planting seeds, slow, steady, realism, careful, thrift, attention, that kind of stuff. So it also goes into a little bit about how you could be blocking a card. So for instance, this one's like, you could be blocking your card by not paying your bills, or not planning the week ahead, that kind of stuff. So it basically goes through, it goes through the cards in not a linear way, because they have separated into how you can learn, how it might be easier for you to learn. So this one's great because it literally just goes like through the tarot in 78 days. If you had, so like, what would that be? If you did this, if you did a couple cards, a month, you'd be totally groovy. So this one's really cool. And I would always recommend having a notebook to write all your notes down, like a separate tarot notebook or something, or like divination notebook to write all your notes about. So that's one. And there's a ton of different books like this. There's so many out there. There's, the Greatest Guide to Tarot. There's so many books. I just like this one because it broke the cards down in a different way, and the information that it had was really great. So Lo Scarabeo is a publisher of tarot decks. They have a lot of really great decks. They're one of the bigger ones, like the, big manufacturers. But they came out with 2 books, I think actually 3 altogether. But I found them and I was like, ooh, I really like this book in particular. So this is more of kind of like a beginner's guide. This is like an extensive encyclopedia almost. So I think they have part 1, 2, and 3. So this is 1, and it's called Tarot Fundamentals. And it is, it's a collaboration. So I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different authors that go into this. And it is full color. So you have and I'll go into this when I talk about the cards, but you have 2 separations. You have the major arcana and the minor arcana. So for this one, so the major arcana, this is the Fool, and every single one has a big giant picture. It has all these different, the symbols that are just in the card specifically. So, I don't know if you guys can see this, but, it goes into, the bag on his shoulder, what that represents, his clothing, the animal that's in the card, the feather, all of those have different meanings. And that's how Pamela Smith, created it. That's how she wanted it to be. Then you go into the Fool, when the Fool speaks to you, kind of like in the other one, what would they say? This is kind of the general information about the Fool. That's the card. Traditional interpretation, so upright and reversed, which is going to be really big as you start going along in your tarot journey. More keywords about it. It also has a couple different images of the Fool. So the Fool in different decks. But as you can see, there are certain things that are the same. And then lessons that you can learn from the Fool. So in different decks, if it's not what they call a Rider-Waite-Smith type, they can have different interpretations of it. So basically what will happen is an author or an illustrator will take one of the keywords from the Fool, and that's what they'll use as the Fool. And I have a couple decks, so I'll show you that are like that. But here's, 10 different images that people have used for their Fool cards in the tarot deck. And then it says, like, what the deck is. Like, if you really like that card. And then it goes on to the next one. So, this has that for every single card. So, I have tabbed them all so that I know, okay, this is the cups, and then it talks about the Ace of Cups. And it goes into all the detail of all the cups. Two of Cups, that kind of thing. So this is a great book if you are learning, or if you just want to like spend one money on like an giant cohesive knowledge vessel. This would probably be it. It's a hardback. This one was $39.99. I got it at Powell's. The cool thing about it though, like if you order this through Barnes & Noble or whatever, like you can get the hardcover discount because they're all hardbacks. So if you're a Barnes & Noble member. Now, before I get into other books, just because I was talking about like hardback books, all of this is available online. There are some things that I, especially in my practice, I don't like to use technology. And really what that is because it just like gets me back to my roots. And a lot of the time when I'm feeling like I need to do some kind of witchcraft or practice, or I just need to like get back in touch with my paganism self, it's because I'm spending too much time on technology, or like I'm not, feeling like I need to like take a break from that. So a lot of the books, I mean, obviously all the books I showed you guys I have in print. I have some stuff in digital form, but really I use online stuff more as like inspiration. Like my Pinterest board is really the only like witchy thing that I have online that I go back to pretty consistently. Everything else I have in print. So just want to put that out there. There are tons and tons and tons of witches who don't have the space to keep a big library of stuff, or they don't want to, or they're not out of the broom closet yet, which is what you would say if you don't want people to know that you're a witch. Where all they can have is stuff on their Kindle or their iPad or whatever. So that is 100% fine and lovely. That's just not how I do it. But if you've been watching my other 4 videos, you would know that that's okay. Okay, so the second book, right behind Tarot Experience is, or Tarot Fundamentals, is Tarot Experience. And that's the number 2 book. And this one I haven't really cracked open yet, just because I haven't mastered the first one. But this one goes into like personal practice, reading variations, so how to take the deck and put different spins on it. It also goes into like fresh different techniques that you can use, the art of different spreads, reading for other people, big questions, that kind of stuff. So I bought this book because I started reading for other people. I do have a Facebook page called Tarot by Emmy. I haven't done any updates in forever because life just got too busy. But it is something that I would like to get back to. I love doing readings, and there's only so many readings you can do for yourself. And I'll get to that too. So this is just something that I bought because I was like, hey, this might actually be a really cool book to have. So I bought it. There is a third one, but I'm not sure what it's called. I don't know. But yeah. Then there are books like these. This was a ebook that I bought and then I printed out. No, actually I bought the hard copy of this one. I printed out the workbook. So this is by a company called Biddy Tarot. It's by a woman named Bridget Esselmont. She is Australian. I really like, if you just Google like tarot card meetings, you will probably, the first thing that'll pop up will be something for Biddy Tarot. It's Biddy Tarot. I really like all of her information. 95% of her website is free to use. In addition to all of the tarot card meanings that are very detailed. She goes into a lot of information, mainly if they're just like an upright, but she also has a pretty big paragraph or two if it's a reversed card. I like a lot of what she has because I think it's very general and specific in the same time, if that makes sense. She doesn't have any crazy ideas about what the cards mean. She just kind of looks at the cards at their core, and that's what she says on her website. It's a great, useful website. So for instance, if we open up to the Tower card, we have keywords, quotes, descriptions of the Tower card, a little picture. Upright tarot card meanings just in general are all here. Then you have like career, work, and finances. Then you have personality types, relationships, spirituality, well-being. And then you have like the card combinations, what those can mean. And then you have reverse tarot card meanings for the Tower. So not as much in the reverse, because then it finishes right here. And then card combinations. But still a lot of information. So I bought this. I think it was like $20 or $30. When I bought this, she had just finished it. So her website has probably, I don't know, half of the information that's in here. But even at half, it is, oh my gosh, so useful. So like I said, I bought this in an actual physical copy, and then I went and got it bound just because I like things to lay flat. In addition, I bought an ebook, and it printed wrong, and so it just pissed me off. But anyways, so I wasted a ton of paper, which was just lovely. She made a workbook. So it is half this size. The woman at FedEx Kinko's just only printed on one side. So it's great. Really great. So again, I went and printed it out and got it bound. And it is, like I said, it's a workbook. So she has, so like for strength, she has keywords, upright, reversed, quotes, descriptions, general, career, work, finances, all that kind of stuff. I liked this because it was before I really knew how to collect all my thoughts in tarot. And so I liked this. I hate that it's this big. It is so clunky and heavy, and I hate it. So I have rarely used it, even though I would love to get back to it. So now that I know where it is and I have it, I might, but like, I don't want to carry around these two things. It's freaking ridiculous. Anyways, but even if you didn't get the workbook, the Ultimate Guide to Tarot card meanings is a really great resource. Okay, so those are my 3 favorite resources. These kind of books, they're like Around the Tarot in 78 Days. It's kind of like your quick down and dirty guide to stuff. Still great information. Make sure if you are buying a physical copy of it, that you have the ability to look through it. So a lot of people do book reviews about these kind of things. Do that. Another really great compilation book that's fantastic is this one, and then the Ultimate Guide to Tarot Meanings. Okay, now on to Emmy's collection. So, oh my gosh, they're so heavy. Okay, so, whoop. Oh, good Lord. What is going on here? There we go. Okay, so, first I will show you what I have. Oh, that's what I was going to go grab. But I think I have one in here. Maybe? So I like bags. Most of y'all know this. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, cool. Okay, so when you buy a tarot deck, you will, and I have taken all my tarot decks out of their boxes and I use these little bags. Got them on Amazon. So that's a bad one. I'm trying to find one that's relatively beginner friendly. Sure. Okay. So this is called the Everyday Witch Tarot. Now, I love this deck. It's a great fun deck. Like I said, tarot is separated into two different categories. You have the major arcana or arcana and the minor arcana. The minor arcana is where you're going to have your 4 different suits, just like in playing cards. You have cups, wands, swords, and pentacles. Those are the traditional 4. Some decks take those and kind of run with it, and that's totally fine. Each different item, each different suit is going to represent a different element. So for me, I think I do it a little bit different because it makes more sense in my mind. So pentacles equals earth, cups equals water. For me, wands equal air, and swords equal fire. Then you have your, what do they call it in here? You have a page. Oh, that's right. A page of cups, a knight of cups, a queen of cups, and a king of cups. You have those in each of the different suits. Some people have a princess, knight, queen, king, because they want like the equality on the sexes stuff, which I think is great. I am not a huge fan of, some people actually have like prince, princess, queen, king. I think that's a little much, but anyways. Yeah, so those are the different representations. Your major arcana are going to be the, cards like the Tower, Death, the Empress, the Emperor, the Magician, Judgment, those kind of cards. So they have a little bit more power behind the meaning, just because in a sense they're kind of like oracle cards because they have just like the word. In actuality, they're supposed to signify like major life events or major life things that you're going to come up against. The minor arcana are more, everyday things, I guess, if you're supposed to say that. And again, I am not an expert on the tarot. I just love it. So I am not a, pro at this by far. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to say. Oh, there are different spreads you can do for tarot. There's tons of different spreads for tarot. The main ones, I would say kind of the main 3 are called just a single card daily spread. So literally I would, shuffle my cards. I would be like, what's today going to bring? What's going to be the feeling of today? And then I would literally just, cut my deck if I needed to, pull a card, well, bam, that's it. Ace of Wands. Let's read up on Ace of Wands. What's it going to be? And then that's how I would figure out how my day is going to be. There are 3 card spreads, which usually have to do with, like, most of the time they're read as like past, present, future. Some people read them like 1 month in the future, 2 months in the future, 3 months in the future. Some people is like next month, 3 months, 6 months. Any kind of combination of that is totally fine. People also do 3-card spreads for daily spreads, and they just kind of use the combination of all of them to figure it out. The other one is called a Celtic Cross, and that is using, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 or 12 cards. And that's more of like if you go to a tarot reader and you pay money or pay some kind of exchange for a reading, they will probably do a Celtic Cross. That literally goes into every aspect of your life. So it talks about what's to come in the next couple months, but it also goes into financially, educationally, spiritually, personal and romance, job, all that kind of stuff. That's like if you wanted to do like a whole year at a glance my life, you could do a Celtic Cross. Now, the biggest thing about tarot, and I don't know how many times I have said this, or maybe this is the first time, it is a guide. Do you have to use guides? Sure, but you don't have to use them. They're great. They're there to help you on a path. But if you see a really intriguing other path, you can go down that path, and that's fine. One of the biggest reasons why I love reading tarot is because it's one of those things where it's great. It's how I can be like, hey, going into the next 3 months, all right, things are going to be looking pretty good. So I already have that. Or if I know, like, hey, you're going to hit some hiccups at work. Just be mindful of that. Then I know when something happens, I'm like, it's like you're already prepared for it, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through my tarot decks, I think, and then I'll kind of show you how I keep the one deck that I'm working with right now. Most decks will come with, hold on, let me actually add it really quick. Hold, please. Okay, so, when you buy a tarot deck and it comes in a box like the Oracle deck, or, sometimes they're a little bit bigger, they're like this. It's because you have the deck, but then you also have a nice hefty book that goes along with the tarot deck. They started doing these, and it's, if you buy a deck like this, obviously you're not getting this book. So they're a little bit bigger. Like if you go to Barnes & Noble and you look in the tarot section, they have a tarot section. It's fantastic. You'll see bigger boxes because it has a big book like this, which is nice. The price point's going to be a little bit higher, obviously. But the greatest thing about these is that if the artist and the writer have gone off the path of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, they will tell you how to read the cards and how they correlate to a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So for instance, Wheel of Fortune, the card looks like this, and then it talks to you. This is also a great book because it's in color. Some of them aren't in color, and that's fine. So with change comes opportunity. What will you choose? It always starts off with like a little tidbit of information, and then it goes in detail about the card. This one also really conveniently has a little notes page. So I would recommend, if you're a beginner, even if you're not a beginner, these books are great to have. I have all of mine that have come with that. Sometimes I've never looked at them because I'm like, I'm just going to read it as it is. Like I'm going to read it as the Page of Pentacles. I don't really care what you did to the card. When you get more in tune with the cards, you won't need these, but they're still really cool to have. A lot of it is because sometimes the artists put little things in there, or sometimes the writer wants to add little things. So these are really cool to have, and they're great books in general. If you just went and bought one of these and didn't buy any of the books I talked about, you would be fine because you're still going to get information that's imperative to knowing the tarot. Because remember, the tarot is a tool. It is how you're communicating to yourself, your physical being, what your mental being wants to tell you. So I, because this video is already like, I don't know, probably like an hour and a half long, I'm not going to go into like what each card means because that's a whole nother like 7 videos with information. What I'm going to do is just go through my decks because I think they're pretty and I like to look at them. And I'll tell you the name and all that kind of stuff. So this is called the Everyday Witch Tarot. That's the back. Super cute. These are what they call non-directional cards. So if you read reversals, so that if you picked up the Ace of Wands upside down or reversed, that has a separate meaning than the Ace of Wands upright. So if you read reversals, which some beginners don't read reversals, and that's totally fine. So this is a non-directional card because you can tell if a card is upside down. So that's what they mean. Some of the cards are directional, which means you can't tell if it's upside down or not. So these are some of the images in this card. I really love this artist. This is Elizabeth Alba. I won't know that for all of them. That's just because I have the book in front of me. 4 of Swords. I just really like this one. The Devil, which is a lot about like temptation and that kind of stuff. Love it. Let's see. King of Cups. 9 of Pentacles. Love this card. One of my cards that tells me if I will like a card or not is the Lover card. So if I can, I always look for the Lover's card. And for some reason, that's just the card that if I like it in a deck, I'll probably like the rest of the deck. So I'm trying to find that one for you guys. Of course, it's taking forever. You guys are with me though. Ooh, like this, I really liked this Strength one too. It was great. Come on. Where's the freaking Lovers? Where's the Lovers? Oh my gosh, I passed it. I'm gonna be so freaking pissed. Guys, I'm sorry, but now I really need to find it. I probably just skipped it. Well, I mean, obviously I just skipped it, but it probably was like stuck to one of them or something. Aha! Yes. This is one of the reasons why I love this deck. Because you cannot tell if those are male or female. And I really liked that. I thought it was really cool. I love that the cats are also like their tails are making a little heart. And yeah, really love that card. So, again, that's not the only, I mean, obviously there are some decks where I love the Lover's card and I'm like, oh god, that's, I don't like that deck. But in this case, that was totally right. I'll tell you this much. I have, it's like that, like, back or forth. I have seen decks where I have loved the Lover's card and I do not own that deck. But every deck I own, I love the Lover's card, if that makes sense. And some I have just because I'm a collector and it's what you do. This is a deck that came out a few years ago that was all the rage. And it is called the Wild Unknown Tarot. I do not recommend this deck for a beginner because there's not a lot to go on on the cards. The artwork is stunning. the cards feel like smooth and buttery, which is awesome. And I will show you the card that I fell in love with, that I think is such a powerful card. But here's some of them. All just black work illustrations that I thought are just awesome. Make sure I didn't. A lot of people, if they are big tarot readers, they will have a tattoo of something. Like this was the Daughter of Swords. I love that. Love it. But I'll show you the card that a lot of people really, really love. Three of Swords, like, oh my God. Awesome. And obviously you can see why people really like these tattoos is because they're just like gorgeous. It's gonna be like the last one, of course. But like, oh, Father of Pentacles. Yes, please. That one too. Love that. It's a Three of Wands. This card, this is just a card that is, when I saw the picture of this card, I was like, I want this deck for this card. The Lover's is like a, I mean, I don't even think it's like, it's just kind of a weird card. It's not weird, but like, I might have already passed it, but I mean, it's like, it's a fine card, but I'm not in love with it. This is the only deck that I have because of that card. Yeah, I don't know where it is, but anyways. So, this card for people that read tarot, for witches that want to have some kind of emblem of witchcraft on their bodies as a tattoo, but they don't want to outwardly have a pentacle. They would get this tattoo. And really what it was obviously a colorful window into your soul, which was filled with color. And the natural branches were blocking out what you would call like the mundane life, if that makes sense. Some people got it just because this was like a great representation of religion in general, right? Like looking inside of yourself. And other people got it because it was a really like fun and modern tattoo. But if you know it, it's totally a tarot, representation, and in turn, potentially a witchcraft representation. So people really, really loved this deck, mainly because of this card, and I was one of those people. Okay. So, and this one, because it is not beginner friendly, it also comes with a guidebook, and the other thing is that there's not a ton of information either. Like, that's literally it. But again, if you know the cards, you don't need this. You just read the cards and you know what they mean. Okay, next one. So this is the deck that my mom actually got me in New Orleans, and I can't remember what it's called. I'm bad, I know. That's the back. So this is also non-directional because obviously it looks different. Some are different. And this artwork I just really liked. I don't know. She picked it out totally like on a whim, and so it's definitely like it means more to me just because like she picked it out on her own. But the artwork, I love the stimpling in it. And it's just like really fun and I don't know, kind of like 80s. I'll show you the Lovers. And that's why like I don't feel a connection to this deck. Like I haven't ever used this deck in a reading. But it just has that sentimental value to me that I absolutely love. And I gotta show you all the lovers. Dun, dun, dun. Maybe. Why are they always like the last? They're always like the last ones, you guys. Really like that card. Just like a really sensual card. Not a ton of the major arcana mean exactly, I mean, like the devil obviously is more a representation of like temptation. Death is not a death card. It's the end of something. The tower coming down is a sign of like something catastrophically bad. So really, honestly, the card you don't want is a tower card. The death card just means something's coming to an end. A very final end. Oh, this is one of my newer decks. It's called the Spirit Song Tarot. So it came with a little book. And I really loved these because of just the colors and the artwork in them. This one used a little bit different. So they have crystals, feathers, shells, and acorns. So crystals are swords, feathers are wands, shells are water, and acorns are pentacles. But this artwork is just, oh my gosh, I love it. This is also a directional, so you can either way. But yeah. And this one also has some words down here. They're like little like keywords. So it's the King of Swords, courage and commitment. Love that. Love it. Just like the animals that are like, yeah, I just loved those representations. Look at this one, you guys. The bee. I love it. I love it. So that's the Spirit Song Tarot. I have not used this deck. Like I said, I bought it because I had been looking at it for a while, but I haven't used it or anything. So I'll get to that. Okay. Sorry. I clicked the thing. The mouse, because I have stuff everywhere. Okay. Hold on, I'm going to move some stuff around a little bit. Sorry that this is going to be a very patchy video. Okay. Alright. So I did those ones. So I haven't done that one. Yeah, I did that one. Okay. I'm struggling right now. Did that one. Maybe I did do all of these. Yeah, okay. Going crazy. Okay, this is one of my favorites, and this was actually a Kickstarter. And it's called the Prisma Visions Tarot. Right? Yeah. So this set cost $50. This was an independently manufactured, written, drawn deck. The illustrator and the artist, or the illustrator and the writer, I believe were the same person, but it was what they called it, like independent. Oh no, they're different people. Catherine Tomes is the author. So this deck is cool because of the way that all of the cards tell a story. Traditionally, tarot in the suits, ace through 10. Right, yeah, because there's only 10. tell a story. And so this deck tells that story flawlessly. Literally the images, if you lined them up right next to each other, ace through 10, it's the same illustration, like panoramic illustration, and then they have just cut the cards to like have the certain, you know, this part of the story done. The illustration is, again, stunning. So like that's the 3 of chalices. I love that. And then let me try to find the there's the 8 of chalices. Okay, now I just need the 4. But like, I'll just keep showing you guys until I find it. The artwork is stunning. I absolutely love it. It is also non-directional, so you can tell the eye. But the sides are also silver. I can't remember what they call that, like silver etched or something. 4 of chalices, where are you? Again, it's going to be the last freaking one I pick up. Oh, well, that's the 2. That'll work. These feel really, really good also. Just like when you have them in your hands. This has to be it. All right, well, anyways, that's a 7. So, okay. So, Michelle will know what I'm talking about because I was talking to her about this deck. So, can you guys see? Those are 3 different cards, but they're all the same illustration. Right? So, like, if you just pull the 2 of chalices, you're going to have a totally different meaning of a card. But if you follow the chalice story, you're going to get the entire story in, you know, one set of cards. So, really cool. This was the first time that I had ever seen a tarot deck do this as linear as they can, or as linear as this one did. There is a tarot deck. It has fairies in it. I think I have it. That I really love that does that as well, but it's more of like the fairies that you see throughout the suit of cups are the same, and the story is happening to like those 1 or 2 fairies throughout the entire line, if that makes sense. So that was Prisma Visions Tarot. It's gonna be so long, you guys. I'm so sorry. This is, oh my gosh, the Green Witch Tarot. And I also really like this one. This is more of a traditional witchcraft deck. So that's the back. Obviously, non-directional. Or I guess this would be directional. The other one would be non-directional. But these are some of, I just really like the images. They're very soft. And they go through traditional Wiccan or pagan tools for the different suits. So you have chalices, athames, like the Oak King is the Hanged Man instead of the Hanged Man. And like 6 of Pentacles. And then they also have 3 of Wands. Also, instead of the Emperor, they have the Horned God. And I believe the Empress is... So this one just has very traditional Oh, like the magician is the witch. That was very cute. The wild hunt is the tower. Trying to find the emperor, sorry. The fool is the green man. High priestess is this. Maybe not. I might have already passed it too. Oh, also the lovers, the lady and the lord. Loved that. Oh, that's right. It's the high priest and the high priestess. That's right. Yeah, I always forget how much I love this one. The other cool thing is that Death is the Lord of Shadow. The Lord of Shadows. Which I think is a really cool representation of the Death card. This one also, if I can remember... Oh yeah, the Earth Mother. Ugh, love. Is a more positive deck. So there are some decks where even the negative card, or even the more negative connotation cards aren't super negative. I believe that's one of these cards, but that's also why I liked it. So that was the Green Witch Tarot. Then... Oh, this is one that I bought in New Orleans at it wasn't really a witchy shop, but the only other witchy shop that I had kind of researched before we went, it wasn't open, and we kind of weren't on that side of town. This is one that just, it's gorgeous. I don't really know if I'll ever use it, but I just had to purchase it because it's kind of one of those decks. It's called the Hermetic Tarot, and it was created it was based upon the workings of the Golden Dawn, which the Secret Order of the Golden Dawn is a coven. It's like I think it's a worldwide coven. So it's the closest thing that us witches get to a church. If that makes sense. It's called the Hermetic Tarot. The illustrations, again, are all black work. This is also a non-directional because it doesn't matter. There's a little card about, like, information on it. But, like, yeah. It's all black work, but it's just, it's gorgeous. And they're all a little bit different. So, like, this is the Magician, but it's, like, the Magnus of Power. So, I really had to get this because it's just, I'm a sucker for illustrations, guys. Like, no joke. And yeah, I just loved it. So that one. I also haven't used this one. I probably never will. This will be more of just a fun collector's thing. But I had to buy a tarot deck while I was in New Orleans. I mean, duh. Okay. What's this one? So I love going through them. Ooh, this is Crystal. No, I can't remember what this one is. Dreamscapes Tarot? I don't know. DM me if you guys are interested in any one of these if I don't remember the name of it, and I will I'll let you know what it is. I'll do my own research on that one. Dreamscapes Tarot, I think is what it's called. Anyways, this one's also non-directional. Either way. There is a Haid artist. The artist is a Haid designer as well. And you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about when I show this card. So, again, stunning cards. Just, like, absolutely gorgeous. The pentacles in this deck are some of my all-time favorite. Like the Page of Pentacles. I love the colors. They're all like greens and blues and purples. And I just, oh my gosh. Like Knights of Pentacles. Love. Stunning. Oh, and then the Hermit. Oh. Love that card. Huh. Now I gotta find you guys the lovers, each of the cards. This is also another good, that was one of my favorites. Was that 9 of Pentacles? Oh my gosh. I want to live there. I just want to live there. No, that's it. I'm done. Done. Just want to live there. This is one that it has a pretty decent beginner's book, but I would not recommend it for beginners with only the book that it comes with, because it does a lot more like describing the artwork versus telling you what the card means. Where's the lovers? Loved this card. Just like the epitome of lovers, right? Love it. Love it. I think that's called the Dreamscapes Tarot. And again, a great one for beginners because of the images on the card, but not a good one for the book that it comes with. So if you wanted to save a little bit of money, I would just get the deck of this and then go get a book like one of the books I got. Like one of the bigger books. This is another independent published one that I love. I love this deck. This is called the Bonefire Tarot, and it is based on tattoo art. These are technically, I think, yeah, they're directional because they have each of the 4 suits up in the corners, so you could tell. But what she has done, and why I really love this deck, especially when I was learning, and she has a really good book too, but she puts both positive and negative aspects into this card. So that's one of the reasons why I loved this deck, was because no matter what you pulled, you were getting some positive and some negative stuff. Yes, it would be like more positive than negative, but for the most part, you would also be able to tell like, okay, and some things might happen. And that's just the way that the universe works, right? So I love this card. I love this deck. I love the artwork in it too. I just think it's fantastic. Like, oh my gosh, I just love it. It's called the Bonefire Tarot. I don't think I did the lovers already. Let me see. And it's cool because the cards are a little bit bigger than a traditional tarot deck, and so I just really liked that too. They reminded me more of an oracle deck, but they also were, you know, like just easier. They're a little bit thicker too. There's the lovers. Love that. Just love it. Fantastic. Look at that. Fantastic. Okay. Next, let's see. So, Bonefire Tarot comes with a really great guide as well. But you can't do reversals. I mean, you could, but she doesn't go into reversals in the text because she puts it in there. So. Ooh, this is a fun one. So, this is... Shoot, what is this one called? I can't remember what this is called. So these cards are plastic. The Golden Thread. Golden Thread Tarot, I think, is what this one's called. These are plastic. They are waterproof. And this actually has an app and it's like gold foil. Ooh. These are directional as well because they have the different suits on them. These have an app. It's a free app that you can use You actually don't have to own the deck to use it. They offer just like a free tarot pull of the day, that kind of stuff. If you have the deck, you can go through and do a reading for people. And as you're doing the reading, like, it's great for beginners because as you're doing the reading, once you pull a card, you'll click on that spot and then you'll like pick the Empress card. And then it'll tell you in the different spreads how they mean, what they mean, and all that kind of stuff. I really liked these cards. I thought they were super simple and just like really basic. I think these cards would be okay for a beginner because they have the imagery. They're a traditional Rider-Waite, a Rider-Waite Smith, so they're going to be like the Four of Swords. The only thing is that, right? Or no, Six of Swords, I guess. Sorry, it's backwards. They are going to have the Roman numerals, so if, you know, just practice that, I guess. So yeah, but all of the imagery is pretty consistent with a traditional Rider-Waite. And I love that they are super. The other thing is, like, shuffling tarot decks is really hard because they're just a weird shape. But these you can literally bend and they're totally fine because they're plastic. Other ones you kind of have to shuffle. I'm trying to like do it up, but like you kind of have to shuffle like this to get them. With these, you literally just flip them back and shuffle it. So another thing, I think this is the Golden Thread Tarot. Tarot of the Golden Thread, something like that. But those are really fun. As you can see, I like collecting ones that are just different. So these ones are really cool too. These are circular. This is one of the first ones I bought. And it's the Circle of Life Tarot. It has a book. It's not super big, but it does, if you were a beginner, it would be enough. It is in like 3 different languages. So, did I just pause that again? Okay, good. Yeah, so it has like a little blurb about each one. So if you were learning, like, it would be fine, but yeah. So those are the backs. They're directional. I love the backs. And then those are the cards. I really, really loved those imagery too. And I love that it was circular. Like, it just, this one also doesn't have the actual words, but it's like, so like this one is like 10 of wands. So you have like the 10 and then the wands down there. So you do have to know the icons. That one's like the Knight of Wands. I think like 5 of Swords. Love that one. See, that's the thing. Like, going through these, I'm like, I loved this deck. Kind of like when you go through your whips, you know? I'm trying to find the King and the Queen. Most of the other ones are pretty self-explanatory. That's the Page, I think. The Page, no, because the Page was, well, one's a Page and one's a Knight. Let's look in the little book. Minor, okay. So they have a Knave or the Knight. But you didn't give me the... Alright, well, let's look for... Sorry, you guys. Okay, that's Wands. What am I on right now? Chalices. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the Knave. And then this is... Dang it. That's the Knight. I believe how they do it is the knight is always, like riding something, and the knave is not. So like, for instance, the knave is just not. This is the queen. Look, this would be the queen of chalices. And then I'm trying to find the king of something, but so like there's the king of wands. So again, really, really love this deck. The artwork is stunning. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say it's a little more Asian, but that is definitely the feel of some of the artwork. Maria DiStefano is the artist. And it just feels like a little Asian or like Middle Eastern a little bit. So, I mean, I really love it. Look at that one. 8 of chalices. Gorgeous. Yeah. So. And like, I'll be honest with you guys, like, there are hundreds and hundreds of tarot decks. Like, I bought one of my friends as a birthday present, the Tarot of Cats. Like, there are literally tarot decks for anything. There's a zombie tarot. There's a Halloween tarot. There's all kinds of stuff. So this deck is called the Deck of Faces. And it's the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And I do have the book. Oh, maybe it's down there somewhere. And they call it the Tarot of Faces because a lot of the cards are just faces. This artwork is stunning. I love this artwork. It's super real. It's super like just, I love it. I absolutely love it. Like the Magician. Don't you guys just want to know the Magician, right? The Emperor. So this one would be okay for a beginner because you do get the feel of the cards. But like the moon, look at that card, you guys. Oh my gosh. Love it. The Hermit. I want to be the Hermit. And this is, I think, one of the only decks where the Hermit is a female. Or like pictured as a female. But like I said, a lot of these are just, they're people, they're faces. And so that's why this is called the Deck of Faces. Is because like, instead of having like, you know, like like that's the Ten of Swords, which is like basically like rage mode. Love that. But so I found this image for the Lovers just on like a Google search of like pagan image or something like that. And I found it and I fell in love with it. And then I found out that it was in this deck. And so I had to buy this deck. The Lovers. I just can't, you guys. And that's what I mean. Like, you will find a card. If you get into tarot, you will find a card that you connect with. And even though, you know, for some reason, it's the Lovers for me. I love this card. Yeah, I'm trying to find some more. Like Strength. A girl and her wolf, man. Love this card. Love this deck, you guys. Yeah. Ooh, like the World. Sorry, there's boobs. I probably should have said that. Whatever, I don't even care. But yeah. Ooh, and like Merida, hello. Love it. So this is the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And I'll show you the book. So the book is, and it came with it, Julia Jeffrey. That's who's artist. So it comes with a pretty good book. And this book does have a good enough information where if you were a beginner, you'd be okay. And it's called Journey into the Hidden Realm. That's what they call the book. So, yeah, Tarot of the Hidden Realm. Love this one. This one I think is also a good one of like the light and the dark of the tarot, right? So, love that. Getting a big old pile, guys. I think I have like 5 or 6 to go. Okay, this is one of my favorites. And it's funny and just very like photorealist, and that's why I love it. It's called the Wheel of the Year Tarot, and it is obviously directional. But I just love the images, and I will show you why. They were just very like, I liked the illustrations of them. So this one would be a fantastic deck for beginners because you get the feeling of the King of Swords in this card, right? Like you can feel that. Also like 9 of Pentacles or 9 of Coins, like you get that feeling, right? King of Wands, the colors, there's so much imagery in these cards, and that's really the biggest thing. Like if you're a beginner, the card needs to have imagery. Like that's the biggest thing, because what you're gonna remember is the images. Like at least for me, what I remember are the images. So as I'm learning, I need to see images, because then I'm like, oh yeah, but blah blah blah. Yeah, like just really fun, colorful when they need to be. Like obviously it's like, the 7 of Wands, like they're prepping for a flood. But it's like you get that from this card. And like, their expressions and all that. One of my favorite cards in this is the Queen of Swords, or like the Emperor. He's great, right? Like obviously somebody's sick. Oh yeah, this was death too. I really liked that one too. That interpretation. Knight of Swords. My favorite depiction, even though it's like not a happy card, Queen of Swords. Like, again, you get that feeling from this card. 8 of Pentacles is like a lot about, like hard work and paying it off and all that kind of stuff. So it's like you get that card, right? This is I think what's on the box. It does not, mine didn't come with a book at all. But the picture on the front of the little deck was the world. I mean, love it. Love it. And the Lovers, which this speaks temptation to me threefold. Sorry you're going to see a boob and a butt. Like that's temptation to me. 100%. You're getting cut by something that will hurt, it's going to hurt you, but you also can't, live without it basically. So, and that to me is the epitome of temptation. Like I know I shouldn't do it, but I want to. Right? That's what that card says. That's the devil. Yeah, sorry, this is the devil. It's not the Lovers card. That's the devil. And when I saw this card, I was like, yes. Oh my gosh, this is so true. I don't know where the Lovers is. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So that card, I was like, wow, like that's just a really great representation of that, because that a lot of people think the devil, is, like this horrible thing, but it's like no, like in the Christian stories, I assume the devil was all about like, yeah, we're gonna go do something that, you want to do, but you shouldn't, and that's what the devil is. That's personified. So. And I do keep a little crystal in that one just because I do use this one often. Okay, on to the next one. This is going to be like a 2-hour video, you guys. Okay, so I do have a copy of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And So this is mine. This is some of the images of the traditional Rider-Waite. The back looks like this. It is non-directional. So if you guys have Googled like tarot cards, these are the images that you guys have seen, right? Cool. The sun. Of Swords. Ace of Cups. These are the images, right? So I'm not done giving them away, but I figured why not. I'm going to give a deck away. This came in my sister's Lunarly box, and it doesn't really read tarot, and so she was like, hey, do you want this? And I was like, yeah, that's awesome, that's great. And then I was like, wait a minute, I can totally give this away when I do the divination video. So if you would like to be entered to win this, and this is just the original Rider-Waite tarot deck. I have not opened it, so I don't know what it looks like. I'm very tempted to keep it in the saran wrap for all of you guys so that you know it's like not broken into. But at the same time, I also want to make sure that it's not like a piece of crap deck. So, I will sit on this. I will sit on it and see if I want to open it. You guys all know right now, you see that it is shrink wrapped or saran wrapped, it's shrink wrapped. But I may open it and see if it's just a POS. And then like give away another deck or something. But yeah, so if you would like to be entered, all you have to do is just comment below something that you learned in this video. And, you know, I don't know, like a hi, how are ya kind of a thing. And then you'd be entered to win. And then the next video, I will just do like the random number generator of everybody that commented. And yeah, that'll be it. So if you want to enter to win a free little tarot deck, then just do that. Okay, so how many do I have left? I think I have 4 left, you guys. I'm getting to the bottom. Whew, okay, this is another not great one for beginners because this is actually, I think, an 80 card deck or an 82 card deck. I can't remember. And they go all over the place. It's called the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. It is just plain black. Mine is, at least, on the back. And then it's also gold, foiled, edged, whatever. But these illustrations are fantastic. Super pretty. I saw this. I took a tarot class a couple years ago, and someone in the class was using it. And she actually, the teacher, who was awesome, she was like, this is a fantastic deck, but I wouldn't recommend it for beginners, because it was very much like a beginner's one. And she was like, just because they do something totally different. The book you get is really thick because they go kind of, they don't throw everything out the door, but they just do things really differently. But I really like these illustrations. I'm not super big on like the computer generated images, but I really, really liked these. And some of the really pretty ones are, yeah, the other thing is like, you know, like all the queens and stuff. Queen of Air. Lovely. The biggest thing about tarot decks is that like some of them do have nudity in them. And like it sucks that they have nudity in them, but like sorry. It's just kind of one of those things. So if you don't like it, don't buy the deck. I think that's relatively all of them. But yeah, like I liked that it was like it was like a different interpretation, and the cards, there's actually a Facebook group that's like the study group of the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, because it's a little bit more thought provoking, and the book is really great. It's really intuitive and it's really insightful. But if you're just learning the tarot, it's not a good place to start your learning journey. If that makes sense. Oh, you guys, I just have 2 more. Oh, 3. What are those? Oh, yeah. That's fine. Oh, I guess I'll show those up. Okay. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. So this is the Fairy... Tarot of the Fairy Realm? Tarot of the Mystic Fairy Tarot? I can't remember. This is one I was talking about where it shows the progression of like the fairies that are in all the cups, that kind of thing. So it's the same fairy, and I'll show you an example of it. Of course, it's like when I go to just freaking... This is Linda Ravenscroft. She's also a Haid designer. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even. This one also is non-directional, so you can do reversals. Okay, so like the swords. So you have throughout the story of the swords, so we'll start off with like the 2 of swords, right? You have 2 fairies that are, pretty plants, whatever, not super bad. Then we had the 5 of swords, right? So they might be in an argument or whatever. There's more thorns. One of the plants is dead, and it's the same 2 fairies. Then you have the 6 of swords where it's like, okay, now all the plants are kind of starting to die. Same 2 fairies. 9 of swords, we don't know what happened to the other fairy, but now one of them is trapped in the swords. And then the 10 of swords is... I didn't know. This is also one of my favorite death cards. Love it. Yeah, like the 10 of swords, right? So she's like bleeding, yeah. Completely trapped. So yeah, those are, yes, like there's like the 3 of swords, right? Like, oh my gosh, the flower died. Yeah, so 7, it's like she's, trying to, it's ripping her dress, but like she's trying to, fix it. And 8, it's like look at her face. Like you can tell she's just like in agony, right? So this is one of those that I really love. I love Linda Ravenscroft is one of my favorite artists. She does fairies beautifully. She's one of my favorite artists. This also gives you a really cute little fairy greeting and a fairy farewell. So before you do a reading, and this deck I think is really not meant for people, but like this deck really speaks volumes to people who work with fairies, and who work kind of with that entity. And so you would basically like greet and welcome in all the fairies to help you find your intuition. And then when you're done, you would do the fairy farewell. And so it's just like a little poem that you read at the end of your reading. So I thought that was just like a really cute little touch for, to have in a tarot deck. So this one I think is called the Mystic Fairy Tarot. I don't know. Again, if you like something, excuse me, comment down below. I'll look it up for you. This is called Tarot of the Moon Garden? Moonflower? I can't remember. I actually found the book of this, and I saw someone do like a review of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's just so fun and like fantasy. And then I found the book, and then I found the deck. And knew that the book was really hard to find. So I was like, once I found the book, I was like, okay, I bet I can find a deck of cards, and I could. So this is the back. It also is non-directional. And you guys will see why I loved this this deck. It's just so like fun and fantasy, and I just love it. Like, it's just so great. I love it. It's just so colorful, and like, I don't even know, you guys. It's fantastic. I am saying fantastic so much, you guys. Because this is really going to be like a 2.5 hour video. Oh my god. Okay, whatever. Whatever. I don't even care. I don't even care. So, again, just super fun. I do know people that have trimmed this card because they don't like the white on the sides. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. I really enjoy having the card just be for what it is, and that was how the designer wanted it, and so that's how I'm going to read it. I do have one other thing, and I wanted to mention this only because there are different ways to read tarot. So there are apps on your phone, and I think I talked about it when I talked about the Golden Thread Tarot, that you can have a deck of cards on your phone and do readings. I mean, I think they cost like $2 or something, but you can actually get an actual tarot deck. And I think that it's like the Fool's Dog LLC or something like that is the one that puts all the cards up on the app. But you can get like Everyday Witch Tarot, the Green Witch Tarot, Tarot of the Hidden Realm. You can get all of those tarot decks on your phone. So you can literally go through and see every single card and see if you have a connection with it. I did this with this deck of cards. This was an independent published deck that I fell in love with, and it's little, and I didn't realize how little it was, but it just makes me love it even more. It's called Tarot of the Trees, and it's non-directional, obviously, and every single card, and I love the artwork on it, but every single card has a tree that has a depiction of, you know, what it means. This one isn't super great for beginners just because, you know, the trees are doing the talking where a person's face would be doing the talking. But still, like, love it. So freaking cute. And so this was one where I'm like, oh, the death card. Love it. So this is another deck where, like, I bought the app for like $2 or whatever, and loved using this as just like an everyday tarot that I would like do one draw with or whatever. And I just loved the artwork. And then I found out that you could actually buy it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I have to buy this because I love it. And then when it came, it was just so adorable and cute. And I fell in love with it. Okay, so I also wanted to show you guys, there are tons, especially Oracle decks. So Jasmine Beckett Smith. Jasmine Beckett Griffith? I can't remember. Whatever. The one artist that I love and everybody loves. She does a couple of different Oracle decks. So I can't remember what this one is, but like she does like a Highlands. She does the animal one. She also does like a beautiful creatures one. So like that's the back. I think that's the beautiful creatures. Yeah. And then I don't know what that one is, but yeah. So like I said, there are tons of artists out there that have decks, and you know, there's literally decks for anything. First things first, I would just walk into Barnes & Noble and see what they have. If you have a little like witchy or metaphysical shop, that's even better because they're definitely going to have a bigger selection of stuff. But most of the decks at Barnes & Noble are going to have the like book, the guidebook with it, and so that's going to be really helpful. A lot of the witchy shops, they're just going to have the decks, you know, like just like this. So that is my tarot collection. It fits in a basket. And then, like I said, I got those little velvet bags on Amazon, but you can get tons of different bags. People make bags on Etsy. I got this one at a little shop. Just closes. Now, I will show you. I know, you guys are like, there's more? Oh, there's more. Only one thing more though, and it shouldn't be more than a 2-hour video because I see I have 45 minutes here and I know I had like 15 minutes. I don't even know. Anyway, so this is, Shadowscapes. That's what that one's called. I knew I remember it. That one's called Shadowscapes Tarot. And this is so it's a big companion book. But Shadowscapes. Okay. So right now I keep the tarot deck that I'm studying with in this Patagonia. It's Patagucci. This Patagonia, I think it's just like a toiletries kit. And I keep it there because I just like it. So I keep, don't know what that is. I keep the deck, which is the Modern Spellcasters Tarot. Oh no, this is, where is my Modern Spellcasters Tarot? I don't know. Anyways, this is the Wildwood Tarot. And you can see it's a little warped. This is the one I use right now. This is the same artist that did the Druid Animal Oracle deck. This one is, technically it's non-directional. Yeah, I guess it's non-directional. Looks like that on the back. But this one is more of like a druidic craft tarot. So they use stones, vessels. Oh, that's another stones. Love that one. Bows. And arrows. But like this one has a really big animal affinity as well in it. But I really love this artwork. Gorgeous. Like the Green Man. Love it. Love. Yeah. So, yeah, like I love that healing card, the 7 of Stones. Oh, gorgeous. Gorge. Okay, so this book, the author has come out with a companion book as well as a study workbook. So, I have the deck and a crystal in a bag. I also have some cone incense that I think I bought at World Market. That just looks like that. This is just Nag Champa because it's my favorite. Then I have a bowl, a metal bowl that I covered with foil to burn the incense on. Matches, because you gotta light the incense somehow. I also have, these are incense matches, so basically they have incense within the match. So if you just really wanted like a quick little like swoop of something, you didn't want like a full cone to burn of incense, you could use these and it just gives you like a little bit of cleansing power. I have a knife just in case. Pen. Bigger crystal. Pencil. I also have a cup to do offering stuff in. It's almost like a little mini, what's it called? Altar setup. And then I also have this other dish. So this is where I would put salt and water to do cleansing stuff. And this would be like a mini chalice. And they match. I love matchy. I also have a piece of fabric that I found that I just love. And it's moons. So that's what I wrap everything up in. I also bought a card that is my representation of Gaia that I use in this like little mobile altar. So that's what I use for this. 2 cards that has rune correspondences on it and then chakra correspondences. See, yeah, like, I don't know where this book is. I need to find that. I need to find that deck. I don't know where it is. So this is the book for the Wildwood Tarot. That's the one that I have. The other one that I don't know where it is, that's one of my favorites, is the Modern Spellcasters Tarot. And I love this one because it has, it's amazing. The artwork is gorgeous. So I have both of those books in here, but only one of the decks. That's very odd to me, but whatever. So that is what I have in kind of like my little mobile altar. And I have it because usually tarot is one of the things that, like, if I wanted to do it out and about, I want to be intentional, right? Again, intentional about how I'm doing it, and how it's coming across that I'm doing it. So that's why I like to just carry some things to, you know, not technically like make it official, but, you know, in a sense, that's kind of what you're doing. So that is everything. If you have stayed till the very end, you are a freaking trooper. Again, no stitching in this video, but there also wasn't any bitching, so that's always a good thing, I guess. And yeah, if you guys liked this video, please, you know, let me know in the comments. Obviously, I want you guys to comment below in something that you learned today, to be entered to win the deck. Well, actually, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to open it right now and see what it's like. Because if it's not, then I can totally run to somewhere and get a deck. There is one train of thought that says you can't go out and buy your own tarot deck. Like, your first tarot deck has to be given to you by someone that you learned from. That's all well and good, but for the most part, people don't learn from people. They learn from, or they do learn from people, but they learn from like YouTube or whatever. So, okay, well, I don't know what the AE weight tarot cards are. I don't know what that is. We'll see. So, like, sure, if you want to be like a master tarot card reader, like, some people might be like, oh my God, that's the other thing. There are tarot snobs, for sure. There are people who read tarot, just like anything else, they read tarot and they think that they're like the rulers of the world. Whatever, you know, just like, no thank you. Okay, so there is the little white book, like I said, LWB. AE weight, I don't know, whatever. That's the back of the deck. It's really cute. There is actually a card about Pamela Cohen Smith. She's the artist. And it looks like, yeah, so cool. So it will be this deck, which is a traditional Rider-Waite deck. That's the back, super cute. And then the cards are just the traditional Rider-Waite, which if you're learning, most, I would say 98% of books, if you're learning tarot, if you buy like a beginner's guide to tarot, it is going to reference this deck. So this is the easiest way to learn, because the images that are going to be in the book are going to be these images, and that's what they're going to be referenced. So really cute. So awesome. I will put everything back. I'm really glad I checked, because I was really worried about that. Like, what if it's just like this really ugly, not cute deck? So you'll also get the card about Pamela Cohen Smith, which is really cool that they include that. And then there's also just like a little card. And then the little white book. Okay. And so if you would like to win this, just comment something that you learned today about divination in general. And then I will do random number generator to do a pick for this one, and I will do that in the next video. So my hope is that I will come out with one next week. I think I just uploaded one, but we'll see how we do. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. And again, if you stuck here the whole time, I had no idea this video was going to be this long, but I think there was a lot covered, and you guys got to see a lot of pretty decks. So there you go. Anyways, I will talk to you guys next time, and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time between now and then. Okay, bye, guys.